Tell you what, since this is town hall, you tell me who you want to ask it. Go ahead, and then we'll have a rebuttal.
This is actually to both of you. I'm a former Army Intelligence NCO. I went to Iraq and Afghanistan. I come home to a country where the government is using fear to convince the American people they need to spend more on military in 1 year than NASA spent in 58. One arms dealer in Lockheed Martin makes more in 1 year off of government contracts than the entire state of Arkansas pays into federal taxes. President Eisenhower warned us that the biggest threat to our national security would be the military-industrial complex, and we've not heeded that warning. Will you stand up to the military-industrial complex and use our soldiers only for defense rather than personal gain like our current Senate is doing?
And Mr. Gilbert, since he has on the Johnson t-shirt, we'll start with you. You have 1 minute. Mr. Eldridge will have 1 minute. We have so many questions. You each get a minute on these questions. Go ahead.
Perfect. I appreciate that, and I appreciate the Johnson Well 2016 t-shirt. Don't forget it, folks. Yes, I would. The only thing that could keep me from doing what you said is if I could get a job at Martin Marietta. Was that the company you said, Tate? Isn't that scary? That there are people who are making that kind of judgment every day? Is the defense of the United States about the enrichment of Martin Marietta? No, and I don't want to be part of it.
Mr. Gilbert, Mr. Eldridge.
Well, you bring up several good points there. I want to be very clear because there are probably areas in this question we agree and disagree on. I certainly support a strong defense. I think we probably both do, given your background. And first of all, thank you for your service. I appreciate your commitment to that. I think the defense budget is obviously something that needs attention from the Senate and from Congress. I have not seen a federal agency budget that shouldn't have a fine-tooth comb put through it. Because to me, there seems to be this view of some that more money means a better agency, means a better objective, whether that's defense or whether that's any agency. I fundamentally reject that premise. I think we need to have a national defense budget that does what you articulated at the end, promotes a strong defense without a personal profit gain that is unseemly, as you suggest. You were kind of trailing off there at the end, but I believe you said personal gain of those in office. And I can just tell you that I very much support a strong defense. I think every budget ought to be held accountable to promoting their objective, which in this case is a strong defense. And I think anybody who's making an undue gain off of our country, that ought to be eliminated.
Where is Gordon? I can't read the last name. Gordon, here, ask your question.
I'm Gordon Garlington. I'd like to say, first of all, that I appreciate both of you running for office. I'm one of those that believes that public service is an honorable profession. I'd like to address my question to Mr. Eldridge. You have mentioned several of these, but I wondered if you would key in on some key Senate votes where you would have voted differently than Senator Boozman, and what that tells us about your philosophy or who you seek to represent. Thank you.
Okay, a lot of ground to cover there.
You have 1 minute.
In 1 minute. Basic philosophy, you heard earlier, the whiteboard approach, intellectually honest, be willing to stand up to anybody or work with anybody if it's the right thing to do. Be passionate, energetic, engaged, aggressive, for all the right reasons. That's my basic philosophy and how I approach it. Votes that I would have voted differently on. Immigration reform several years ago. I think we need to certainly know what and who are coming into this country, but then we need a pathway to legal status for those who have paid taxes, who have followed the law, and who are already in this country. That's something Bush and McCain supported. I supported too. John Boozman voted against it. The TPP we've talked about, he has cast votes in favor of that process. He won't tell you how he's going to vote on TPP, so I think you can read into it that he'd vote for it based on his statements. Hate Crimes Act I mentioned, and the Violence Against Women Act is the last one. This is one that really bothers me. He went to a domestic violence shelter in Mountain Home, and I don't think he told them that he voted to deny funding to shelters just like theirs that women go to who have been abused. And I placed women in homes before in that situation. A major problem with him doing one thing in Washington and going to a domestic violence shelter in Mountain Home just for show in an election year.
Mr. Gilbert?
Well, it's hard to know how you would differ from Mr. Boozman because he seems to be on both sides of every issue. Wherever it's politically expedient, that's where he'll be. When the Republican Party tells him to vote against Obamacare, he votes against it. When the Republican Party tells him he needs him and 19 others to help fund it, then he goes and votes for funding Obamacare. I think what we need is a senator who will look you in the eye and tell you, I agree with you or I disagree with you and why. And then listen to you, because in this and all matters, I'm open to reproof and correction.
Where is Carissa Newby?